Hello and welcome back once again to movie reviews. So I know I said there was a lot of stuff out that I wanted to see. I think the count is currently up to 9 as long as none of them have been dropped, with more still coming, especially next month. A lot of stuff's coming out. But I haven't been able to get a chance to get up to the theater. I might go see something today, but I'm not sure yet because I do still got to work tonight. So it depends on what time things are playing. And yeah, all that. So I'm going to try, but money's getting a little bit tight, so I might have to wait until payday and then maybe do some stuff next week. Have to wait and see how things play out. But I did go see something yesterday, and that's when I kind of realized that money was getting tight. But I still went and saw this one anyway because it's a one-time only thing right now, unless they decide to play it again sometime. But in case that doesn't give it away, or the title card didn't give it away, I went and saw Rifftrax, or Best of Rifftrax, The Room, which originally aired sometime back in 2015, I think the screen said, like August of 2015. Apparently it came out around the time that I was going to see all the other Rifftrax, and somehow I just missed The Room. And surprisingly, this is the first time I've ever actually seen The Room all the way through. I've seen a lot of other people do reviews on The Room and, do the commentary tracks and all that. They hit all the key points of The Room that everyone in the theater clapped at. But there's actually more to this movie than just those scenes. They're all equally as good, bad, funny. So what did I think of The Room overall? Let's go into that first before we get into the riffing. Before we go into the riffing, or before we go into The Room, we did have one short in this one. It was about things that float. People were making boats out of old leftover styrofoam packaging of like meat. Like if you ever buy chicken, it's got that little styrofoam thing on the bottom to absorb the blood. They were making boats out of like that, and cardboard, paper towel rolls and things. And sticks. So, yeah, that was alright. Before that short actually started, when I got into the theater, there was the session had already started because there's no previews on it, even though the guy's like, oh, there's a bunch of previews on this, so, you got time. And I was like, these never have previews. So I went in, and sure enough, it was already rolling, and for like the first 10, 15 minutes, there was no audio. Finally, someone went out and told somebody, and they're like, yeah, we'll fix it. And originally they said they were going to start it back from the beginning for us, and they never did. They just kicked on the audio and let it play. So we missed the whole opening monologue, but then we did get audio finally at the first short, which was Float, Things That Float. I forget what it was called, but it was about things that float. We only had the one short, then we went into the movie. So what did I think of The Room? Honestly, there's nothing I can say about it that a million other internet reviewers haven't already said, other than, even though the movie has its flaws, I give Tommy Wiseau, or Wiseau, or however you actually say his name, because I've always heard it as Wiseau, but then they were saying in the Rifftrax it was Wiseau, so however you actually say his name, I give this man the utmost respect. And it's simply for the point that the guy wanted to make a movie, so he went and made a movie. It's like, if he wanted to make a movie, why haven't you made a movie? He's made a movie, even if it was bad. He still made it. That kind of harkens back to things that Kevin Smith, the director, has been saying for years on his podcasts, if you ever listen to him, is when he was a kid, he just decided, I want to be a filmmaker. And instead of just dreaming about being a filmmaker, he went on and became a filmmaker. Tommy Wiseau wanted to make a movie, so he made a movie. And even if it was crap, look how many people are talking about it, look how many people have watched it. You have Rifftrax making fun of it. Every internet reviewer, is usually one of their first go-to movies to make fun of. Cartoon Network or Adult Swim played it for like a full 24 hours on April Fool's Day once. So even if it's bad, you got enough people watching it and laughing at it and enjoying how bad it is that you can't really chalk it up as a failure. Yeah, it wasn't the best movie in the world, but the guy did what he set out to do. He wanted to make a movie, he made a movie, and everyone has seen it. And people love it, maybe for the wrong reasons of what he wanted people to love it. But the thing is, he, unlike some other film directors who have gotten a cult following for how bad their movies are, Tommy's in on the joke. He understands that, yeah, it was bad, and that's why people like it. Where other people like, can't think of the guy's name, but there was a documentary about the making of Troll 2, I think it was. I want to say it's like, the documentary was called like The Worst Film Ever Made or something like that, or Making the Worst Film Ever Made. I don't know, look it up. But it's about the making of Troll 2, and they talked to the director at one point, and he's like talking about how maybe he just made his film in the wrong generation because now this new generation seems to love his film, and he doesn't seem to be in on the joke that they like it because of how bad it is. And like even one kid in the audience asked him a question, jokingly of course, like any other director would have understood that it was jokingly, and then he's just kind of like, oh, you just don't get it, you just don't understand, you don't respect the movie and all this. And you can tell he just is clueless to the fact of why his movie has gotten this cult following now. And Tommy Wiseau doesn't seem to be like that. He understands the movie didn't turn out probably as good as he pictured it in his head, but people still enjoy it because of how bad it was, and he understands that, and he's in on the joke. Is he happy about it? Maybe, maybe not, but he seems to be in good spirits with the guys from Rifftrax doing this riff on him. He's probably seen all the reviews for his movie. I don't think he's really lashed out at any of them, so you got to give it up to the guy for that. He's in on the joke, he understands it, and he did what he set out to do, which was make a movie. So say what you want about his film and how bad it is, but you have to give it up to him for that at least. Other than that, I really don't have anything to say about The Room that hasn't been said before. I'm not going to sit here and go over all the key points in it because they're all there. There's more that aren't covered in reviews, but obviously they have to cut some stuff out, otherwise it's not considered review, it's considered showing you the whole movie with commentary, which is violation of copyright. So that's why they don't do that. How was the riffing on it? Honestly, if this was the first time I'd ever heard anyone make fun of the movie, I might have enjoyed it more. But a lot of the jokes were stuff that has been said by just about everyone in the past. Nostalgia Critic, Cinema Snob, Spoonie, just about all of Channel Awesome, and anybody else on the internet who's ever reviewed it. They all have kind of made the jokes that Rifftrax was making. So yeah, it wasn't really... I mean, I was still laughing my ass off at it. Their timing was good on what they threw out when they threw it out. But yeah, again, it's after you've heard somebody make fun of, like 20 different people make fun of the same film 100 times, how much more can you really make fun of the film? Yeah, I laughed at certain points, but honestly, had this been the first time I'd ever seen this movie or heard someone riff on it, I probably would have laughed a lot harder than I already was. Not to say I didn't laugh at all, because I've laughed hysterically, but I probably would have laughed to the point where I couldn't breathe or been on the verge of pissing myself. But like I said, I've heard this film made fun of. I know all the key points, so maybe that diminished it a little bit for me. Yeah, like I said, a lot of people, when it got to key points like the "You're tearing me apart, Lisa," everyone was like, "Yeah, woo!" It's like they're cheering just because he said the line that they all know. Yeah, so yeah, overall, it was still a fun experience. I'm glad I finally got to see the full film. Because now I know, because sometimes you can see like these online critics edit together something to be comedically funny, and then when you watch it, you're like, wow, they really reached like for 4 or 5 unique points in a movie and kind of took them out of context to make it funny. So when you see something like this, you're kind of wondering, it can't really be that bad, and then you watch it and you're like, oh wow. Yeah, so they basically hit all the key points, but I lost my train of thought on what I was even going to say, but you pretty much get the point of what I'm trying to say. yeah, but overall it was still fun to watch. I still had fun in the theater. Everybody was laughing at basically all the same points. So overall, I'd say the riffing was good. Like I said, if it had been the first time I ever heard a riff on it, I probably would have rated it higher. So I guess, yeah, let's get into ratings. As far as The Room, like I said, it's not the greatest movie, but honestly, I've seen worse. I mean, have you guys seen Birdemic? I mean, at least this film was watchable, but like, I understand. Also, that's the thing. Like, I understand where Tommy was trying to go with the film. He probably just didn't express things that he's not the best script writer, which is kind of another thing I can kind of respect. Is I have ideas for films, but I'm not the best writer, so I can come up with like a plot synopsis of like how everything would play out, but to fill in like point A to point B, what they say to each other, how they get there, all that kind of stuff, I just don't have that in my wheelhouse. And maybe Tommy doesn't have that either. He tried to do it, and honestly, had I written a script, it'd probably look something like this. I like to think maybe I would be a better actor than what he put out in this film, but at the same time, I couldn't guarantee that. I could be a complete shit actor. You know, sitting here talking to you guys isn't acting. I'm not putting on a character like some other reviewers do. This is just me talking. So I can do this. Whether or not I could actually act, I like to think that I could, but I've never actually done it. I've never played a character in anything. Yeah, so again, I can kind of respect the movie just based on that. It's like he had a premise that he wanted to go for, but getting from point A to point B to point C to point D, he's just not the best at flushing it out. And, you know, you say what you want about the guy. Like I said, at least he tried. So what would I rate The Room on a star rating? For comedic value, I'd rate it like a 4.5 because it's just hilarious to watch. As far as like an actual, is it a cinematic masterpiece? No. And I don't think even Tommy thinks it is at this point. Unlike the guy who made Troll 2, because that guy thinks that's a masterpiece. He just thinks that we're all behind the times and don't understand them. So a legit star rating, like if this was the first time I'd ever seen the movie with no premise going into it, I'd probably rate it, I'm going to say a 2. And like I said, that's just because I kind of understand, I think, the mindset of Tommy. And that's the only reason I would rate it without putting it ridiculously low, saying it's a horrible movie. Plus, I've seen Birdemic, and this is a masterpiece compared to Birdemic. Jesus. So yeah, I'd say about a 2 for The Room. And as far as the riffing, like I said, had I not already seen 9 million other people riffing it with some of the same or similar jokes, I'd probably rate the riffing a lot higher. But overall, I'd still give the riffing I'd probably say a 3.5. Had I not already seen all those other riffs, I probably would have ranked it like a 4 out of the riffs that I've seen them do. It ranks about a 4 from, you know, what I've seen them do at their best and what they've seen them do at their worst. But like I said, because of all the other times I've basically seen similar things, I'm just going to knock it down a half a point and say a 3.5. But overall, it was still enjoyable, still had fun. Did a great job, guys. Keep it up. They haven't announced what they're doing for this year's lineup yet. They said probably nothing till the spring. So this will probably be the last Rifftrax we see for a while, unless they do another best of, which I don't think they're planning on. So I guess it'll be time for me to get back to seeing actual movies. So yeah, those will be coming up soon. Also, got a bunch of product placements coming up. Going to try to get back into some gameplay and do that stuff. So yeah, a lot of stuff coming up for the rest of this month. So stay tuned. Until then, thank you for watching. Remember to like, comment, rate, subscribe, and share the video. You know the reasons why. If not, then you haven't been watching my videos, so go back and watch them. Maybe eventually you'll find out what I'm talking about. Or just go watch somebody else. They explain it a lot better. But before you do, remember to like, comment, rate, and subscribe. Yeah, so that's it for this video. So until next time, again, thank you for watching, and we will see you at the movies.